Hey everyone. Today's topic, confront things that trigger your emotions. The reason why you want to do this is because it'll help desensitize you to those triggers, much in the same way where when someone's afraid of something, psychologists will often say the best way to conquer that fear is to confront it. If someone's afraid of the dark, they need to actually go into the dark more often, usually at first by dipping their toes in it, say, going into a dark area with someone they trust. That way they have that emotional crutch of that person they trust with them, so they'll feel quite a lot safer, as opposed if they try to immediately jump into the deep end of the swimming pool by immediately going into a really dark room by themselves. Probably not the smartest way to conquer that fear, or confront it, should I say. It'll still help, but yeah, usually you want to do it in small ways. So I would recommend the same thing for your emotional triggers. Things that you know trigger certain emotions within you, you should probably confront them, just like you should confront your fears. But do it in small ways, in tiny bites that you can handle. You don't want to immediately jump into the deep end again, because that probably isn't going to help you all that much and could even make those triggers worse. But a great example here, and one I like to bring up when I talk about how to help people get over breakups quicker, is encountering things that remind them of their exes, things that they have those emotional attachments to. Because so often after a breakup, someone will avoid everything that reminds them of an ex. But doing that doesn't make that emotional trigger go away. In fact, sometimes it can make it worse. All you're doing is avoiding those triggers, much in the same way people tend to avoid fear. It's not helpful. So what I recommend people to do is to encounter those things, to confront those things that trigger them, but do it in small steps. So like, let's say there's a song that triggers you because it reminds you of your ex. Well, what you could do is just listen to very small portions of that song, maybe just the intro for a little bit at a time, and allow yourself to feel the emotions that rise up within you. But don't act on those emotions. Don't like grab your phone and call your ex and tell them you miss them. That's stupid as hell. Just don't act on the emotions, but allow yourself to feel them. So this is something I often do because there are some songs that I really enjoy that do remind me of women I've dated, because I would play those songs for those women. And every time I play, not every time, but quite often when I'm listening to those songs, there will be moments where I think of those women that are attached to those specific songs. And the thing I did to help me get over those women would be, I would literally, this may make me sound almost a bit crazy, but I would literally listen to those songs on repeat until they lost their effect on me, until I stopped feeling those emotions attached to the woman from those songs. So I would just keep listening to them over and over and over again. Even though most people tend to avoid those songs entirely, I would be like, hell no, I want to get rid of this attachment ASAP, because I like these songs. There's a reason I would play them for those women. I don't want to ruin these songs for me by always like thinking of those women due to them. So I would just play them on repeat until they lost their effect on me, until those emotional triggers were gone. Sure, now those songs still occasionally remind me of those women, but they're not triggering. It's instead more, it's just like, oh yeah, I used to play this song for this specific woman, but it doesn't immediately make me get all melancholic or anything. No, instead I just think, oh yeah, I remember those days. And then I move on and I listen to the song because I enjoy it. So that's a great example of confronting your emotional triggers so that they no longer have power over you. Another good example here, this may be more for content creators, but another thing I like to do is read comments that aren't exactly friendly. Like, read comments from haters, because they used to trigger me when I first started this. Sometimes they still do, but now it's only initially, and then after a few minutes it's gone, the emotions go away, and I'm not like thinking about the comment for long periods of time, thankfully. But when I first started this journey, those negative comments would really affect me. So now I go out of my way to read them because I don't want to avoid them. That's not going to be helpful, right? That's not going to teach me how to deal with that trigger. Instead, it would just make it get really bad because I'm avoiding it entirely. So that's another thing I'll do. I'll just read what people have to say when they don't have great opinions of me or my content, and I just allow myself to sit in the emotions that I feel, and then they move through me. And quite often I'll end up finding it more amusing than being like offended over it, because I'll just be thinking, hey, look, here's this person who could have said anything in the world, who could have left any comment whatsoever, and they decided to be a complete negative Nancy. Like, what the hell is going on in their life to make them do that? They don't even know me. I'm a complete stranger to them. And they're taking this really negative route. Yeah, so that's quite often the way I deal with it now. Whereas when I first started doing this, it would be really hurtful to me. Like, I'd take it personally. I'm glad I don't do that anymore, but I'd probably still do that if I was trying to avoid these triggering things. So this is why it's so important to not run away from the things that trigger you. And I know I keep comparing triggers to fear, but really you should treat fear in the same way in your life. That's like a way to level up very quickly. Treat your triggers and fear the same way, confront them both, and don't run away from them. Because running away only ever turns you into a coward. And cowards tend not to get super far in life, or at least they tend not to create an amazing life for themselves because they're too busy running away from everything difficult in life and never building up mental strength and that mental and emotional resilience. So unless you want to have like the emotional resilience of a 5-year-old your entire life, I would highly suggest confronting your emotional triggers. Be better than them. Don't allow them to conquer you. Don't allow yourself to be weak like that. And I will say that, like, if you run away from them, that is being weak. I know that can be offensive. It's the truth. If you don't want to be weak, don't run away. Choose to be strong. Choose to be a rare individual out there who isn't going to give in just because things are difficult. I get that this is a tough thing to do, but that shouldn't stop you. Instead, you should look at it as like a challenge. Here you go. At the end of this finish line is you becoming a way better person. Don't you want to achieve that? Don't you want to become the best possible version of yourself? Or do you want to give in to weakness and go the route of being a coward? The choice is yours. I hope you make the right choice here, because there is only one. But anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. I truly hope you enjoyed it, and if you like content like this, be sure to subscribe for more. Otherwise, the easiest way you can help me out is just to throw a like and a comment on the video for the algorithm. And until then, keep confronting your emotional triggers, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Arrivederci!